Well, I think a lot of our viewers might have a high school counselor if they're in high school right now. They might not know exactly who they are even or what they do. You've been one for decades. So, in your eyes, what is a high school college counselor?
Well, I think if you say college, it's something very specific. But as a high school counselor, I think the main, in my mind, the main purpose of a high school counselor was to be sort of the advocate for the student, right? So if a student gets in trouble with a teacher or the admin, it's usually the counselor that steps in to say, well, do we have to go that far, right? In terms of discipline or other things. And then at the same time, we're also the ones that they assign you to if you do get in major trouble so that you can talk things out. And so that's what we do. We also are the ones that sort of are in between. Like we're not teachers, but we're not administrators. We're not friends, but we're not your parent. So we are just a tweener, basically. And that's how teachers see us as well. As are you admin or are you teacher? Well, we're sort of neither. We play both roles at different times. And so that's what counselors do. What I really enjoyed doing ultimately was just working with kids and talking through things that they were struggling with, whether it's was academics or family or other social emotional issues. And of course, college counseling was part of it, which I really did enjoy that part of it as well because I'm more of a logical, sequential type of a person. And to have a process in place instead of kids just popping by and then when they're done with me, then they're done with me. No, they're not done with me until they graduate, and hopefully they get into college of their dreams kind of thing. And so, so there was a process that was is sort of I guess in place and that we followed.
You've done the job for now like 2 decades plus. You obviously enjoyed it. What were your favorite parts of it? What was day to day like? Maybe your least favorite parts? Because I
Yeah.
assume it's tough dealing with students year in, year out, probably when they're the most stressed, the most tired.
Yeah. I think, I think there's hands down, the best part was just dealing with kids on a daily basis. I think all the years that I've worked as a counselor, I've always had an open door policy. So if you come in and you have an issue, we talk about it. If you want to come celebrate something with me, we talk about it. If so those drop-ins, just free drop-ins without an appointment, those were the ones that I really enjoyed the most. And so I think there were certain years where there were just floods of kids coming in just constantly. And some just lived in my office on the office space and those kinds of things. And that's what I really enjoyed, where we can just talk about life without having to, without pressure of having to do something, which is something that I miss right now. Now that I'm out of school for the first time in over 31, 32 years now, first time. And it is kind of lonely in that way because that's what I miss the most.
What was your least favorite
Least favorite, I'll
that you
say,
can talk about?
yeah, no. I mean, I think the least favorite thing, probably just the first thing that comes to my mind is college letters, the recommendation letters. It's tedious. At the same time, I'll also say that was one of my favorite things when I was done with it, because I learned so much about the kids in the process of writing it. And then by the time I finished writing one, and then I see that same kid the next day, that kid usually had a halo. I could see a halo over their heads. I just saw them like angels because that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to see the best parts of them, trying to express that in words. And I always felt like at the end of it, that it was a process that I went through. And I got closer to the kids, even though I wasn't talking to them as I was writing it. But I really, in the end, I enjoyed the final product. The process, oh my gosh, it's terrible. It's like each letter is like 2 hours, and if I have to write 40 of them, I have what 80 hours. When am I gonna? I can't do it during the office hours, so I used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, write 1 or 2 in the morning, go to the office, and then do it at night, and I have to do that for a month.
So I actually want to start here then,
Yeah.
maybe. The college counselor recommendation letter. I think a lot of students might not know if they're sophomores or juniors at this point that your counselor does send a letter. So in the college app as a whole, what role kind of does this letter play? And I think a lot of students might be a little happy to hear that, oh, well, I can just drop in and try to create this kind of connection. Because I think that might be the hardest part for some students. This guy or this girl or this person who doesn't know me at all has to write a letter about me. That's one of the components of the thing I'm saying to college. how can I help facilitate that, make you think good of me?
Yeah, well, the first part of the question was how significant it is. It's pretty significant, I would say. Probably, if we compare it to the teacher recommendations, I would say the counselor recommendation is the most significant by far. One of the main reasons is that it's a consistent one person that's writing for at least well, so foreign it would be like half, or at YSS it would be half. Singapore American it would be like 1/6, but whatever it was that they ended up. It's a consistent voice that's talking about those various kids. And because we do it year after year after year after year, the admissions people already know how we write. And when we express a certain way about a certain kid, they kind of get a feel for, oh, that's the kind of kid she is. And they make decisions based upon it. And so, the reason it took so long was because I could never copy and paste because I knew the same schools, which, obviously we all know that, especially Korean students, they all apply to the same schools. And so, which means that they see the same letters from the same counselor. So copy and paste is not possible. And as soon as I'm caught with one, then all of my other letters become illegitimate almost. And so I have to be really careful about that. At the same time, it is something that they do count on quite a bit. So yes, it's important. How important in terms of exact percentage, I have no idea. It's so subtle, it's so subjective, it's hard to say. But I can say that just last year, there was a kid who got into a specific school in the Ivy Leagues, and apparently they give out grades for each of the components of their applications. And for one of them, I'm proud to say that I got a 5 out of 5 as a college counselor letter, and he got in to the school that I didn't think he actually would get in.
So you're saying that the significance of the counselor letter is more like an objective benchmark to look at a student with.
Right. So instead of having very many subjective, different teachers with different perspectives and different writing styles talking about the different kids, so it's like comparing apples to oranges. When you have one person writing over for 40 kids, and they have 3, 4, 5 kids applying to that same school, then they could almost kind of. So I have to be really careful about how I
word things.
Things for sure. And then the other part of your question, which was like, okay, well, how do you get to know them? Well, I don't know. I don't know about other counselors. I know for me, just because maybe I've done it for so long, sometimes if I have 1 2-minute conversation with a kid, I get a feel for the kid. I could probably start writing something as soon as I have their resume, and then that 2-minute interaction. Obviously, I want more than that. But I'll say that the best letters are the ones that I've written are for kids who really struggled with certain things in their lives and during high school or whatever, and I saw them and I experienced it with them, and then I saw how they grew from it, and then how they dealt with it. It becomes so much more personal and deeper, as opposed to a kid who just drops by just to say, Mr. Myong, can you do this for me? Okay, then it's very transactional. There's nothing that's going on that we're actually sharing anything. Then my letter probably I would struggle to find anything in depth or narratives that would actually be helpful for the application itself. So I think it is important if they can, I don't know, some students have a harder time going into, cold calling an adult and saying, all right, can I talk to you about, even though they don't have anything to talk about. But if they can, I think it helps a lot. I think to be able to have a relationship with the person that's going to write something very personal about, because teachers write about what teachers see in their classrooms. That's what they're supposed to be talking about, just academics. Counselors basically take care of everything else. So, well, do they know you're everything else? If they don't, then what are they going to write about? Something to think about.